is second aspect to this. You see, when I introduced all these various personalities, I was trying to keep the magical, mystical side to the minimum, because I want to present a religion in the modern format which doesn't challenge our common sense and rationality. I tried to keep my feet on the ground as much as possible. It has not always been possible, but anyway, I've tried. Now let me look at the way, you see, this Ramakrishna is full of this kind of dynamic ideas, fully kind of charged up with spirituality, keen to present this, keen to pass this on to various people who will become the carriers of this message, of very broad message of religion. He is keen, and the youngsters begin to arrive. Some householders join in. Again, you see, this Ramakrishna is very keen that these youngsters test him to the full. You know why? He knows that he's going to be here for a short time, then he will go, and the youngsters have to carry on the work. If the youngsters, this disciple that he chooses, have some niggling doubt about him, they can't do a proper job. So while he's around, let them come and test him. Let them really come and check him out thoroughly, left, right, and center. He was very keen. And this his disciples readily did. Of course, the most popular disciple is Swami Vivekananda. And he hears all these things. I'll tell you how rough this Vivekananda is on Ramakrishna. How for 6 years he challenged his master at every stage. He would not agree with anything. And yet this master was, oh, I like this chap. He's asking me such good questions. Just give you an example how sharp he was. When this Ramakrishna, oh, I can see the mother goddess, divine mother. He said, this is all imagination. Then Ramakrishna, but she talks to me. That's too imagination, said Vivekananda. No, this is very frightful. Now Ramakrishna loves this Vivekananda. He knows he's establishing rationality. He's a dynamo, a powerful rationalist. And he got rattled. Ramakrishna got rattled. He ran into the temple like little chap shuddering. Went to the mother goddess, checked up. And he came out smiling. He said, you rascal. The language between guru and disciple, this is the language they were using. You rascal, you rattle me. I checked up with mother goddess. She said, this guy will later on agree with what you are saying. For the time being, tell him that he's got it wrong, because the very thing that appears as the material world becomes more clearly visible as these gods and goddesses. So you're not dealing with some airy, fairy, second-rate thing. You're dealing with something that is much more grander than the material world that you see. And he will admit to it later on, don't worry. So this is how the master and disciple are interacting. One day, you see, this Ramakrishna, after it, remember those days when he would take a rupee and some clay and say, rupee, clay, I can't distinguish, and pour them both into the water. From that day on, he had decided not to touch money physically. Now he's a stickler for truth. So if he says he will not touch money, he means it, literally means it. You see, look at his feet. There is no ornament, there is no gold, there is nothing. So question of touching money is out of the way, out of the question. Now this Narendra, you see, is not going to let him off. So one day he went to Dakshineshwar and Ramakrishna was away. He said, okay, perfect time to test. He took out 1 rupee coin, placed it under the mattress. Not on top, under the mattress. Test him thoroughly. See to what level of sensitivity this guy is. And this Ramakrishna came back, Naren, he looks at him, goes into immediate ecstasy. You are here. He was in a mood, and he sat down on his bed, and he jumped up as if a scorpion had bitten him. He jumped up. And everybody said, what happened? Some insect, what bitten this man? So they took out the mattress, and out popped the coin, fell on the floor. And Vivekananda was looking like this, and Ramakrishna looked at him and said, good. Carry on, my boy. Continue to test me to the full. Literally test me at every stage. And this would happen. It will happen the other way around too. Once, just to test this guy. You see, Ramakrishna, at the name of Vivekananda, he would go into ecstasy. The moment he starts using the word Narendra, he will start going na and go into ecstasy. Record it again and again. Go into it. That much love for his disciple. Now, Narendra, one time, Ramakrishna said, let me test him. So when Narendra came, he turned his back on him. He wouldn't look at him. He would talk to others, and when Narendra comes to talk, he ignores him and talks to somebody else. We've had this experience, we meet people like that. So he deliberately kept avoiding him, and wouldn't look at him, wouldn't talk to him, wouldn't smile at him, just ignore him completely. And this was not for a day. It went on for many days. He kept ignoring him completely as if he's nobody. Now, anybody else would have felt, really, look, first he praises me to the highest heaven. Then he's ignoring me. I better not go anymore. This is the standard reaction. And he kept coming and kept listening and without any problem. And one day Ramakrishna called him, come here. I'm ignoring you. Why do you keep coming? He would ask him bluntly. He said, look at the answer is equally good. He said, I come here to listen to you. I come here because I love you, not because you talk to me. I said, okay, got you. See, that was the relationship. And again, once in a while, this Ramakrishna would get so exuberant about his disciple. Once Keshav Chandra Sen, Keshav Chandra Sen, he draws 100,000 people in his movement like that. He's the most popular religious personality in Calcutta in his time. The founder, the main kind of proponent of Brahmo Samaj. So Keshav Chandra Sen is standing, and this Narendra, who's just 18-year-old boy, is standing next to him. Hey, this is the master. Keshav Chandra, everybody bows down, touches his feet all the time. And they're both standing next to each other. And you see, I told you, Ramakrishna is very, very outspoken. He looked at both and said, the light here is like a little candle light. The light here is the blazing sun. Now this is terrible, to compare them little oil lamp, and the other one is like the blazing sun. And everybody protests, including Vivekananda protested. Says, look, don't say stuff like that. This is very rude, you're offending this fellow. Don't talk like that. And Ramakrishna, look, what I saw, I said. I can't help myself. But look, what he said, who knows the Keshav Chandra Sen? And who is going to know Keshav Chandra Sen in the next 100 years? It is a forgotten memory. And this dynamo, this fireball that Ramakrishna picked up and threw to the West is going to become a very major accepted figure for spirituality in the West in days to come. Forget about India. In the West, they're going to adopt him, they're going to give him blonde hair, blue eyes, and make him Anglo-Saxon and take him away. That's how much they're going to love him. I'm guaranteeing you, in our lifetime, we'll see that beginning to happen. So here is, you see, you would make this kind of blunt comment, little candlelight, blazing sun. So this is the relationship between the master and the disciple, both testing each other to the full, and yet becoming, and challenging each other. You see, this without challenging. You see, Ramakrishna said, look, if you don't challenge me, if you don't interact with me, how will you learn? In order for you to progress, to evolve, you need to challenge me, continue to challenge me. He encouraged all his disciples to challenge him, to test him to the full. You see, we talked about this Latu. Remember this Latu, this servant boy who became this great monastic disciple, the first monastic disciple of the Ramakrishna order. And you see this guileless person, how he lived. And then sometimes to take shelter from the rain, he would go and sleep in the open carriage. And the carriage gets linked to the train and disappears 50 miles away, and he wakes up saying, where am I? And he said, from now on I don't take shelter in the carriages. And see, these guileless personalities. One day this Ramakrishna did the story. Remember, we've been using the story for children of Jatila. The young boy, whose mummy said, my boy, if you go through the forest, feel frightened, just call on your brother. Your brother is Krishna and his name is Madhusudan. So this boy, Jatila, was able to get first-hand experience of God as his brother. And this Ramakrishna did the story. And this little Latu is listening, is in trouble. The moment the story finishes, it goes to the Panchvati. There's a little forest in the north of the temple. He goes in there, shouts, oh Madhusudan, where are you? Wailing, crying all night for Madhusudan. You see, everything the Ramakrishna said had an immediate impact. The thing is, he didn't only just preach high philosophy. Each and every individual who came near him, he managed to lift them up and open up the doorways of spiritual experience. He was dishing out not philosophy and theory, he was dishing out experience firsthand. Every one of them was allowed to immediately experience this idea of spirit, God for himself, each and every disciple who came near him. Let me take the story a stage further. During this time, he came across another young man. The name of this young man is Yogin. Now, Yogin comes from a very aristocratic family, and he's very strongly attracted to Ramakrishna, starts visiting Ramakrishna again and again. He's absolutely in love with his personality. You see, if spirituality is sincere here, you'll be drawn to other people who are equally sincere and spiritually evolved. It'll come naturally. It's like a natural law. You'll be drawn by them. So this Yogin is drawn by Sri Ramakrishna and is very close to him. Things are going well, so far so good. But then Yogin's mother said, look, standard stuff in every family. My boy, you're grown up, it is time for you to get married. And Yogin is not very keen on getting married. Look, I'm not putting down the institute of marriage, I'm also married, so don't worry, we all pay a price. So he said, mother said, look, it's time for you to get married. Yogin said, no, please leave me, mother. No, you must get married. And the mother, you see, the two tools women have are tears. This is number two, I'll mention it later on. They are very powerful tools. She cries her eyes out, look at me, old mother, struggling to cook. We need somebody in the house to take the responsibility. I can't carry on forever, my boy. This is the least you can do for your mother. Is this my in Hindu? This is the problem, big thing. So there's, so mother started crying. Yogin finally relented. The boys are like that. Mummies cry, boys are gone. That big for all the boys we know. So Yogin relented and got married. And he said, he was crestfallen. He said, now I can't go near my master Ramakrishna because I'm married, and he was talking about becoming spiritually evolved, and I can never go near him because I'm impure now. This is terrible. I've fallen down and I've really lost my track. So he said, I can't go near. In the meantime, this Ramakrishna becoming very agitated, because you see, he's aware of each and every of his major disciples, and if they're struggling, the struggle goes to him. He's becoming very agitated. He sends messages after messages to Yogin's house, says, send Yogin here, send Yogin here, I'm waiting for him, I want to look at him. Where is he? Why doesn't he come? And Yogin says, he doesn't know what's happened to me, I don't want to go. He'll look at my face, he'll know what's happened to me. So I'd rather not go. And he would avoid. Now how to pull him? He will use every trick on the tray, under the sun. So he remembered that this Yogin had been given some money by the temple to buy some equipment for the temple. The equipment had arrived, but a few annas, few pence had not been settled for the account. So there was balance left, a few pence. So he sent a message saying, the temple is annoyed that you are such a cheat. Now, Yogin said, I have fallen down, but not that far. They're calling me a cheat, 2 pence, 5 pence, they're calling me a cheat. This is terrible. He came with his money, you see. This is a lovely story. These are real things, these are recorded stuff. This is not anything make-believe. So Yogin comes with his few annas, and Ramakrishna waiting, where are you, my boy? Come here. He prostrated to him. He said, I've been waiting for you. Where are you? Don't you understand? I'm burning up without you. Why did you come and see me? And Yogin was trying to give a pen. He said, keep it to yourself. Come here. Look, my boy, he said, don't worry. If you're married, you've not lost your track. It is perfectly all right. Bring your wife here, I'll sort her out. She will not be a hindrance to your spiritual progress. Bring her here. And if you want to leave your wife, I'll sort that out for you too. He's talking like that. You said, this is possible? Yes, he's talking like, he said, don't you see? What have you done wrong? Don't worry, continue to come. And this Yogin is again redrawn, again pulled back into the fold. You see, this Yogin became Swami Yoganand, and there was a unique feature about Swami Yoganand. I'll tell you about it, you'll like it. Sometimes he would stay in the master's room at night. They are young boys. They take a blanket and they just lie on the floor and put the blanket over the head and go to sleep. And they stay here because in case Ramakrishna wants in the middle of the night, water or something, they jump up and do it. They are the disciples. One day Yogin suddenly opened his eyes and Ramakrishna's bed was empty. He looked around in the room, he's not available, not visible anywhere, and the door is open. And for an instant, Yogin thought, this Ramakrishna is talking about celibacy and all that, a platonic relationship with his wife, and the wife lives in a room outside, just a few feet away, little tiny room. He thought. Immediately the thought arose, he was rattled. Because if you really respect and love somebody, suddenly you feel that your respect has not been, your trust has been broken. You would feel agitated. You feel very agitated. Oh dear, I got it wrong here. He's going to see his wife. He quietly came out. He's not going to let go. He came out quietly and waited and kept looking at the room of the wife to see if he's going to emerge from there. And after some time, this Ramakrishna used to wear little kind of slippers, will go click, click. He heard the click, click coming from the forest. He's gone for natural call, to answer the call of nature. He came out and you saw Yogin, and Yogin was crestfallen. Ramakrishna could read his mind. He said, good, my boy, good. Test the sadhu in the morning, test him even more at night. Don't let them off. Do not trust people like that. I am pleased.